For those of you who might know or might not know, I just blew myself. Hey, what's up, everyone? It's your boy, Matt Diazabal, doing some more music reviews. Thank you for finding me. Thanks for coming on back. I really appreciate it. Thank you for going along with me in this journey as I, continue my music review and YouTube career. You're the best. I really appreciate it. Never forget where you come from. Today, I'm checking out the latest release from a band called Between the Buried and Me with their latest album, The Blue Nowhere. If you're into the, metal world or the prog tech metal world, you probably know who this band is. But just in case, if you don't know, Between the Buried and Me are a prog metal band based out of Raleigh, North Carolina. And after looking it up, I didn't realize they've been a band for this long, but it kind of makes sense. But they've been around since about 2000, and they've been putting out constant albums throughout their whole 25-year career. They have famous records like Alaska, Colors, The Great Misdirect, Colors 2. This is a very big tech prog metal band that blends different genres, whether it be jazz, death metal, metalcore, tech death, ambient music and stuff. They've always been a very eclectic and odd band, especially when I first discovered them, because they were on tour. They were headlining the tour in like 2007, and I wanted to see one of the opening bands, and that was Horse the Band. I know, I don't know. It's not a guilty pleasure. I still enjoy the band, but I'm pretty sure a lot of you probably don't like that band, or they really love that band. Hit or miss. But yeah, and I stuck around and stayed around and watched the headliner Between the Buried and Me and the other bands. I was very confused by the band a bit because I wasn't too much into prog metal at that time. So I was like, all right, this is a very all over kind of band. They're really heavy, but very different from the death metal, new metal stuff I was listening to. But I appreciated what they were doing. I stuck around for most of their set, if I remember correctly. And that was the only time I've ever seen them. I've listened to them here and there. Colors is a pretty good album. The Great Misdirect, the one after that one was pretty good. I kind of fell off with the band, but doing my reviews, I'm happy to try and get back on the Between the Buried and Me machine and see where they're at and everything. And with not listening to Between the Buried and Me for a long time and listening to this album, I want to say it's probably one of the strangest places of music Between the Buried and Me has gone yet with their whole entire catalog. It was not what I was expecting when I first put on this record. And I think me saying that is a pretty bold statement because this band has done so many, you could say, detours into different genres, textures, had so many stylistic changes that could give you a lot of whiplash and just a lot of technical excess that this band is known for. So I was really surprised that this album kind of goes in a very different direction from what I remember what this band is like. And personally, I don't think it's anything like the previous albums I've checked out from way back, whether it be Colors or Parallax. Completely off the wall kind of album here. And just like how there's a song on this album called Door Number 3, this is them going door number 3 with their style of fusion and like funky jazz, dab prog metal style playing, and just some really interesting soft edged metal. Like, it's hard for me to, now I'm describing it right now, but like I was really flabbergasted, especially with the opening track of this album. Because with the opening song, What We Tell Ourselves in the Dark is a very, very bizarre and like tonal shift that I wasn't expecting from not Bring Me the Horizon, but Between the Buried and Me. Maybe it's because I haven't listened to them so long. Maybe this is where they have been, I just missed out, but it was a really funky, groovy, and kind of like almost 80s synth wave start with this song. I was so confused. And from those opening moments, all I kept thinking was like, this seems way too light for the band and slash way too polished. It was really clean to the point where it felt like, was it even really metal? The band's technicality is still pretty strong. It's not really that dull or anything, but it does feel a little bit softened here. Like a middle school kid who's really into like a really prominent tech death band here and wanted to like experiment and try something new, which, if you're starting off as a middle school and everything, that's kind of cool. But with Between the Buried and Me, it feels so weird to go in this avant-garde way. But I gotta say, with this particular song, even though it's not my cup of tea, I still have to say the production on here is really good. The drums are very snappy and the bass is thicker than ever. And so you're left wondering, or I was left wondering, is this where like prog metal or metal in general is going? Or I keep wanting to say Bring the Horizon or Between the Buried and Me are having like a I guess, a midlife crisis in terms of their music and want to switch it up a little bit. But I gotta say, when the song God Terror kicks in, the track right after the first one, a lot of my doubts kind of get washed away a bit because, they bring some industrial synths and some heavy chugs that bring that, old feeling of Between the Buried and Me, that weight they had back in the day, and it feels really good. The drums are quite ferocious on this track, and also the vocals, the way they're mixed here with the soft and the harsh vocals, they do a really good job of, reminding us of who the band is in terms of their old school hard metal style screaming and technical style of playing. Then you have the song Absent Thereafter, which really continues to push, the band into new territories, bringing in almost like country twanginess in terms of their riffs, some harmonicas and saxophones, which I think they've used before plenty of times. But the way that they're incorporating here, the prog metal really blends with this new style that they're bringing here somehow. And a weird way I could probably describe this is if like Van Halen met bluegrass music and was like an alien outer space band. And I know that sounds really stupid and everything, but that's kind of what Between the Buried and Me do here. They bring that ridiculousness and that chaos, and they kind of blend it together to make their own style. This time with like the early track, they're going a little bit further out there with some new ideas, but they bring it back a little bit to their style of mixing tech death and other genres nicely. And throughout this album, there's some interludes in here, particular Pause and Midori Uncoil, which kind of test the listener's patience rather than rewarding it. The former is a bit of a creepy, slow interlude that does a really good job of building an atmospheric feel to it, while the latter song is complete with like a lot of flutes, xylophones, and just bizarre baby sounds. It's a very, I could say, avant-garde kind of song. And so it's a little bit out there, but these moments do kind of help break up the album a little bit, even if it does slow the momentum a little bit. These little moments on this record do give it a bit of character to it, while also kind of, like I said, slowing things down a little bit. So it's this weird like tug of war of brilliance and absurdity that this band is known for. And then you have the songs Door Number 3, and I don't know how to pronounce this other song, but I'm gonna try it real quick. Psycho Momentum? Sorry if I messed that up. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but yeah, these particular songs bring a more metallic muscle back into the overall appeal of the record because the riffs really slice through everything. The bass just pounds away, and the drums remain like the unsung hero of this band throughout these particular songs. And those drums, they're tight, dynamic, and just effortlessly just switching between different time mix signatures, which really gives you that prog metal feel that they're known for. But even here, the band keeps kind of slipping into these weird jazz circus-esque like moments that, can be both fascinating and really frustrating. Like they're cool, but, not really necessary, I feel. And the song Slow Paranoia does a really good job of capturing, that perfectly like weirdness of, groovy and eerie one moment to being quite disjointed and just weird the next. And so it's like the sounds of, a band that refuses to sit still when, at those times where you should be sitting still, you probably should, because it's going to work out a little bit better in the end. And then we get to this title track of the album, Blue Nowhere, which is a very fitting title track to this album, to this song, because it floats between, a haunted ambience and a very restrained prog metal feel. It's quite understated at first, a little bit generic and bland at first, but it does build upon itself and it grows into something that is quite cinematic. Like it's less about, fireworks and more about, just letting everything flow and just really let things breathe on this particular track and not really cause too much chaos or anything. It's a well-crafted song. And then you have the song Beautifully Human that closes out the album, and it feels very, has a very heartfelt feel to it. It's very earnest, it's very sincere, it has a very spacey and very cathartic feel to it. It starts off with some really melancholic acoustic guitars, then leads into this very wide and epic soundscape that just feels like the band has been holding all this energy in for 9 tracks and just finally exhaling into this epic finale. So I would say this newest album from Between the Buried and Me, The Blue Nowhere, is probably, the band's weirdest effort ever, for sure. Like it's really out there. It's left field stuff. It's an album that I feel like is a little bit overthought and has a little bit too much going on in it. But yet it feels deeply human. It's very, very a product of people and just their clashing of ideas and wanting to create something that's completely different, which they did here. And I gotta say, it feels like it's prog metal for those kids who listened to them way back in the day, and now adults. It feels very like you have to be in a right mind space to understand a lot of this, and it doesn't feel like they're trying to desperately be a part of the prog metal community, or like, you know, being young guys making music there in their own space, and they're in their own time and space and just creating weird stuff here. Sometimes it can sound a little bit too soft, sometimes it can just be too strange, but when the band really kind of locks in, it clicks, and it just feels like they are able to capture what they do so well that so many other bands can't like do what this band does. If, you know, their earlier album Colors was a band discovering infinity, I feel like this is them finally reaching that edge of infinity and not knowing whether to, you know, play harder, play more weird, get a little bit sad, get a little bit crazy. Like, have they possibly done everything they can do with this band because they've reached a point where things are just getting a little bit weird and out there? Possibly, but it's also really cool to see that the band has been able to push themselves way beyond what they started. So it's a weird catch-22 of like interesting stuff they're doing here, but also very, very kind of hard to grasp on at the same time. So this latest album from Between the Buried and Me, The Blue Knower, I would have to give it an okay and decent 7 out of 10. Links down below. Tell me what your favorite Between the Buried and Me album is. What's your favorite song on this album? And let's discuss it, everybody. And until next time, guys, see you in the pig. Been thinking good things about you.